Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today for the Lytham Partners Winter 2021 Investor Conference. My name is Joe Dorame, Managing Partner of Lytham Partners. Our next presentation comes from Scientific Industries, Inc., ticker symbol SCND on the OTC. Joining us from the company today for the Fireside Chat are John Moore, Chairman, and Helena Santos, Chief Executive Officer. Before we begin, Lytham Partners is one of the country's leading investor relations firms. With more than 2 decades of experience, we have built one of the industry's most effective platforms for connecting small cap companies with high quality institutional investors. Hopefully today's event is another example of the value we can add. As a reminder, John and Helena will be available for one-on-one virtual meetings. If you'd like to sign up, please visit lythampartners.com/virtual and click the one-on-one meeting request button. With that said, let's begin. John, please provide us a brief overview of the company.
Scientific Industries is a life science tool provider, and we have 2 businesses, our benchtop laboratory business that dates back to 1954, and a new business that's focused on bringing digitally simplified bioprocessing tools to the market. The common theme is that we're migrating our products to the cloud to deliver novel solutions to up-level manual tasks for life science professionals.
All right. The next 2 questions are for both of you. Let's start with Helena. Can you tell us about your background?
Well, Joe, I started my career in public accounting, and like many other accounting and finance professionals, I found myself more and more intrigued by being involved in the operations instead of accounting and auditing the operations. And so when I came to Scientific Industries, I just naturally got more and more involved in those day-to-day operations. And I found that I just loved this business and this company. And when I started going to trade shows and going to research labs to visit customers, I realized that our products were highly regarded, and customers do look to Scientific Industries as the leader in vortexing technologies. And so when the opportunity came up to lead the company, I didn't hesitate because I believe passionately in what we do. I haven't looked back, and I couldn't be more excited about what we are and what we have planned for our future.
Thanks. John, you're next. Tell us about your background.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur, and I love finding small publicly traded companies that have buried treasure and great CEOs like Helena. And what I really am focused on is how can we create a multi-bagger opportunity for our investors by doing 3 things: by expanding our margins, growing our revenue, and growing the multiple that the company trades at.
All right, Helena, what gets you excited about the company and what drives you to be successful?
Well, Joe, there are many things that get me excited about this company. And I cannot pin it down to 1 or 2, but I do have to say that my team is right up there. I am a big believer in tone at the top. And the tone at the top of Scientific Industries is one of excitement about its future. And if you walk around our facilities, that's the vibe that you will get, all the way down to our production floor. When the pandemic hit the world and the world was paralyzed, our employees never faltered. They knew that we were part of the solution to the world's problems. And while most of the world was hunkered down in their homes, each and every one of our production employees was here every day making products that the world needed. And our bioprocessing team in Pittsburgh continued their important work without hesitation because our tone at the top. And of course, I believe wholeheartedly in the future of our company, and I couldn't be more excited about the plans we have to make this company into a successful venture. It's those beliefs that drive me to be successful.
That's great. And John, same question for you. What gets you excited about the company? And again, what drives you to be successful?
So for me, the life sort of boils down to success in business, boils down to credibility and visibility. And so Scientific Industries has 2 parts of its benchtop laboratory business. Our our Genie Vortex Genie mixer is in virtually every life science lab in the world. And our pharmacy business, which is the Torbal business, almost every pharmacy in the United States has one of our scales. So that kind of credibility and reputation for quality is really something you can leverage when you combine it with new products and the coming cloud revolution. And that's what we're doing. The other product, the bioprocessing business, we've got a lot of credibility on that side because Helena licensed the technology to Sartorius and Cytiva GE, and they've sold over $1 billion worth of equipment. So we're now looking for new solutions to be able to sell, new combination of products using that technology. So that's that. I feel like we sort of have an unfair advantage that we're building on, and we have investor capital to be able to bring new products into the marketplace. And what inspires me is I have a lot of friends who've invested in the company and a lot of friends inside the company. And so I like to work hard and have a lot of fun and make a lot of money. So that's really what inspires me.
Great. Well, let's dive a little deeper. What are the keys to turn Scientific Industries into a big, rapidly growing company?
Well, I think that we have to sort of, take these new products that we're developing and find the pained pragmatists, so we can, who are the customers that have really painful problems that need to buy our products to solve their problems, and that's essentially what it is we're doing. George Moore calls it crossing. Jeffrey Moore calls it crossing the chasm. So, when we bought Aquila, they had 280 customers that were using their products, but what we're trying to do right now is increase the level. Instead of selling to laboratory technicians and laboratory managers, we want to sell much larger deployments of our products that we can sell at the chief technology level inside the company, so we can get much larger orders and grow the size of the business.
Okay. Let's jump into the acquisition you recently made of Aquila Biolabs. Talk to us about the thought process and of the acquisition, and what do they bring to the combined companies?
Well, when Helena originally became interested in bioprocessing, when she licensed this technology from University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Scientific Industries collected royalties on over $1 billion worth of equipment that was sold. And I think she also saw that Sartorius grew their stock price from when they went public in 1991 to from €5 to over 550 euros today. So I think that told her that this was an industry that was growing, that had a great future, that continues to grow. These companies trade at between 10 and 15 times revenue. So, what we saw in Aquila was first and foremost a team that was technical team. They're young founders. They're very talented, very driven. And it's also based in Germany. And they spent 6 years getting an optical sensor actually adopted into the marketplace. And so they automated a task, which is biomass monitoring. So you're actually detecting how microbial cells are growing in a flask. And but they automated that. So they, it really solves one of the biggest problems in the life science business, which is people are very expensive and people are very hard to get. There's huge amounts of growth in the space, so there's lots of competition for employees. So anything you can automate is a positive. And then they had this huge vision, and the huge vision was they wanted to make other optical sensors. They wanted to put that on the cloud, and they wanted to be able to basically create the world's first life science Internet of Things. So that was what was exciting to us about it. And it was the combination of our technology in chemosensors plus the Internet Life Science of Things. We said, this is a team that needs our ability to be able to raise capital. This is a team that needs the credibility of our brand, which, every life science lab in the world has our products. So, the key question any new customer is going to ask of a new technology is, how do I know you're going to be here tomorrow? And the answer is, Well, we've been here since 1954, and we have a great reputation for quality. So people say, okay, you check that box. So now we just have to execute on the technology.
That's great. Talk to us about the new bioprocessing field, digitally simplified bioprocessing. What is it and why is it important?
Well, first of all, so bioprocessing is how do you make cellular-based drugs and animal-free nutrition. I mean, it's basically synthetic biology is changing almost every aspect of our economy. And if the 20th century was about the conversion of physics and engineering, the 21st century is going to be about the convergence of biology and engineering and data science. So bioprocessing is hard. To make a biologic drug takes over 1,000 manufacturing steps. And so it's incredibly complex. And critics of the biopharma industry say, well, it's sort of disappointed investors, it's disappointed patients, and how much money's been invested and how little products have been developed. And famous Silicon Valley entrepreneur Peter Thiel said, he basically says that he invokes something called Eroom's law, which is Moore's law spelled backwards. So Moore's law obviously means the cost of computation falls in half every year. And he comments that in the biopharma space, that the cost of developing a drug has doubled every 9 years. So it's going the other direction. So our whole vision is, how can we take powerful internet tools like the cloud, combined with new types of sensors, put monitoring everywhere, and bring the power of the computational power and machine learning to biopharma to change the direction. And we think that that's what COVID has done. It's been a sort of a Sputnik moment for the life sciences industry. And as a small company, we expect to play a really big role in changing that.
Very interesting. Talk to us, currently you're in the process of developing a new bioprocessing platform called the Coco System. Can you tell us about it? And again, why is this important? And maybe you could talk about, some of the competitive advantages you believe it will bring to the marketplace.
Sure. Well, working in a laboratory is still a very manual, hands-on operation. And COCO stands for Continuous Object Content Observation. So the idea is that we want to replace manual work with real-time monitoring. Now, something that is not very well understood right now is that the cloud is as different to the internet as the internet was to the telephone, and that the telephone was to the telex. We're able to do incredibly complicated tasks like having a video conference like we're having right now, incredibly inexpensively because of the computational power and that is collapsing. So what we're doing is exactly that in the life science lab, but we're bringing tiny optical sensors, and these optical sensors are about the quarter of the size of a postage stamp. And we're combining that with the computational power of the cloud, and we're combining that, and we haven't yet started investing yet in machine learning, but that's what the possibilities are, to be able to create digital twins. And when you're able to do a digital twin, it means that you're able to make a digital version of either your experiment or your production process, and you're able to do years worth of work in the process of an hour. And that computational productivity tool is going to dramatically reduce the cost and the amount of time necessary to bring a drug to market. And we're going to be right at the crux of this. And so what you'll see is that there are private companies, venture backed companies, like a company called Benchling, which is making software for the internet life of things, but not sensors. We think sensors are really the critical missing link in creating the life science Internet of Things, but they have $50 million of revenue and a $6.6 billion valuation. So huge amounts of capital are coming into the space, and that's really in contrast to the small $30 million market capitalization enterprise value of our company. We've got $12.5 million cash in the bank. So we're really loaded for bear. We got a great team. We have a huge vision. We've got really interesting potential strategic partners, and that's how we're hoping to create shareholder value here.
Okay, great. Let's go a little further into that. So what you're saying is that this Coco system will have the ability to improve yields and time to market for your customers?
Yes. So what we're focused on is the development and the commercialization of Coco. And so we're really focused on two tasks, which is number one, building community of customers, both in the US and Europe. And that's just using the existing legacy products that Aquila has. And I referred earlier to the 280 customers that they have. So we're looking to expand the installation of those units. We're looking to place them in educational institutions to be able to change the mindset of the adopters of the technology from getting away from manual testing, that modern fermentation engineers use real-time monitoring. So that's one of the main things we're doing. And then the second thing that we're doing is that we're focused, and we've picked up some really important new customers like the National Renewable Energy Labs that is working on developing biologic-based energy sources. And then the other thing that we're doing is we're investing in the Coco software and the hardware. And basically, we expect to be launching the first version of Coco software integrated with the legacy products. So it's going to bring some benefits in the first half of 2022. And then in the second half, at the end of 2022, we're going to be commercializing the first wireless sensor from Coco. So we've got a very pragmatic plan to introduce Coco. And then we're also going to be developing and introducing into the market new type of sensors like dissolved oxygen and pH sensors in the first half of 2022. So this is the first time. This is important because for the first time, our customers are going to be able to develop these adaptive controlled devices, but in the smallest vessels in their laboratory. And that's what the FDA wants, is something. They have a process analytical technology mandate that says that they want the same sensors being used in research and process development and manufacturing. And we think we're going to be the first company that's going to be able to deliver that into the marketplace.
That's great. John, talk to us about your plans to offer a subscription model and who, again, would be likely customers for this service.
Well, our first company in scientific industries to offer a cloud-based product is Torbal, and they first of all they introduced these scales, and literally every pharmacy in the United States has a Torbal scale, and they use them to weigh out the number of pills. And so we created a cloud-based platform that's now been rolled out and it's been adopted throughout the industry, and so it's being widely used. We migrated that cloud platform when we introduced the Vivid automated pill counter, and now we're about to introduce subscription pricing starting in early 2022. So, the game plan at Scientific Bioprocessing is, as we develop Coco, we're going to follow the same game plan that Torbal had. We're going to get the products into the marketplace. We're going to get them working reliably. We're going to get those early adopter customers. And then to speed the adoption of the product into the marketplace, we're going to put up a subscription model. And we all know that subscription revenue trades at is rewarded by shareholders with a much higher multiple than just one-time sales. So that's the game plan. That's going to be happening out across, from late 2022 to into 2023. But that's basically, Helena, and my game plan is to transition this company from being mostly a hardware sales company into a cloud-based subscription company.
Fantastic. Changing gears, Helena, can you talk to us about the factors that are driving growth in your core benchtop laboratory equipment business?
Certainly, Joe. There are two main factors that are driving the growth of our core benchtop laboratory equipment business. And before I even talk about that, it's important to point out that this legacy business is just rock solid. Although historically we have not experienced stellar growth because it is a mature industry, and that is why we're investing in bioprocessing, this business does have the ability to weather all storms and to consistently provide the sales and profits that we strive to obtain regardless of external factors such as economic or political factors. But getting back to the current growth drivers, which have produced 20 to 30% revenue growth and profitability, the first one relates to COVID. Our products benefited from the establishing of new COVID testing labs around the world. As you know, about half of our Genie business is overseas, and we're particularly strong in cost-sensitive markets such as China, Taiwan, and Korea. Each COVID testing lab requires a vortex mixer. In fact, if you looked at the CDC's list of required equipment and supplies, the vortex mixer was right there as the second product on the list. Then we're fortunate to have Fisher Scientific as one of our key channel partners. And I'm sure you know that Fisher has been an important supplier in COVID-related products throughout this entire pandemic. We did quite a bit of marketing right in the beginning to take advantage of the opportunity. And secondly, there is tremendous amount of coronavirus-related research going on. And that's going on around the world. It's expected to continue. And so we can benefit from that. And lastly, regarding our Torbelt division, which specializes in weighing and measuring instruments, the automated pill counter that we introduced right at the beginning, actually, of the pandemic, has had tremendous success, and we expect it to continue to be successful in the future, especially with the addition of new products to complete the Vivid automated pill counter product line.
Very good. You were in the process of expanding your manufacturing facility. Talk to us about what this will do for the business, and is this going to enhance your outlook?
Well, yeah, we're bursting at the seams. Increased lab equipment sales, along with increased Torbelt sales in both balances and the Vivid pill counter, as I said, put us short of space for production of the Vivid pill counting line, and also for inventory space for both the Torbelt and the Genie lines. Inventory had been losing efficiencies as aisles became crowded with inventory, and our overhead racks sometimes required multiple forklift operations to access. 3,500 of the new 5,000 square feet added are for forklift inventory racks for pallets. This will clear up our aisles and get us back to peak efficiency. And Joe, the other big factor we had to deal with is the success of the Vivid pill counter. It quickly outgrew the 150 square foot assembly space we had allotted. Production was limited to 3 units at a time, which quickly became insufficient as production demands grew. This new space allows for 12 units to be built at a time, with the associated increases in efficiency that comes along with that. A third factor effectively comes down to just plain good luck. We had been on the lookout for more space for over a year in anticipation of the growth. Several local spaces did become available, but while the spaces were very close to our current facility, they would have involved the setup of a second Bohemia, New York location, and all the extra overhead that comes with it. We were unwilling to take on that expense without being, absolutely necessary. But, good things come to those who wait. A unit in our building directly contiguous to us became available at the exact time we needed it. It was minimal renovation that was required, just knocking out some walls, and that was actually paid by our landlord. Timing on obtaining the lease was fortuitous as well, as we locked in lower than going rates on, on leasing spaces. So at the end, it all came together, and it's exactly what we needed for our business at this, at this time.
Sounds like good problems. Great. So, you're in a mature business here in the benchtop laboratory side. What do you guys bring to the table that customers choose your products?
Well, Joe, as many people know, we are the pioneers of the vortex mixer. Scientific Industries literally invented the first vortex mixer through the engineering efforts of the Kraft brothers who worked with Scientific Industries. And this was back in the 50s. So today, our vortex mixer is still regarded worldwide as the premier vortex mixer. The Genie brand is known for quality and reliability. It's not unusual to encounter Genie vortex mixers that are over 30 years old and still working. And in the world of disposable products, the Vortex Genie is literally nearly indestructible. If a Vortex Genie is pushed off a bench top on the floor, which happens all the time, they simply pick it up literally by its line cord and pull it back up onto the bench top. But beyond that, Scientific Industries has generally avoided being just a Me Too company that simply makes a version of a product that already exists. Nearly all of our products provide some extra functionality or a cost benefit, and compared to other products, we have more accessories than any other similar product in the market. So that when the researchers' application needs change, instead of buying a totally new piece of equipment, they just buy an accessory. So this is why when we talk about the Genie products, we always talk about products that are multifaceted and that can do many things with the one product. A couple of examples are the RotaShake Genie. The RotaShake Genie combines rotating and rocking, again, in one unit, so that the researcher does not have to buy two pieces of equipment. Why is that important? Two reasons. One is obviously you don't have to have space for two pieces of equipment. And if anyone's ever been in the lab and walks around, they'll know that lab space is very important, or the lack thereof. So having one piece of equipment is very important. And obviously, the other thing is cost. You don't have to buy two separate pieces of equipment. You simply buy one. And that's just one example.
Okay. We're all experiencing supply chain issues. What are you doing to mitigate these issues for the company?
Well, Joe, like the rest of the world, we have experienced supply chain issues. However, we're lucky thus far that we've been able to navigate those without major interruptions to our production lines. What it's caused mostly has been in the form of delays and production inefficiencies. I'll give you an example. If, for example, there are delays in us receiving digital parts, which, like the rest of the world, that's a major issue. What occurs at that point is that when those parts do come in, we have to switch gears. And if we are in the middle of producing, another product, we have to now stop that production line and start another production line that will use the digital components. So it does create inefficiencies. We early on, right at the beginning of the pandemic, we realized, and this has been even before the pandemic, that it's important for us to have alternate suppliers for our key components. We never wanted to be in a position where we had reliance on one single supplier, especially if that supplier is overseas. And as many of us know, when it comes to small parts, whether we're dealing with a US-based supply or not. In general, the factories will be overseas. And, that means that you're exposing yourself to, external risks that are beyond your control. So in order to address that, we have always had a policy here of having, where possible, alternate vendors. Now, granted, that may not always be possible because sometimes there's tooling involved that's, extremely expensive. But in general, we have been able to do that. And in in those instances where we only have one supplier, which are not that many, then what we do is we always keep supply on hand that would get us through a period of time that would be necessary to bring another supplier online. So, going off of that, we early on looked at our key components, those that were critical, to make sure that production would not come to a halt. And so far, the only problems that we have had have been in the form of delays. We all know about port congestions, and that has at times put us into a situation where we're waiting for some components to make it into the door. But that's something that's beyond our control, obviously. So any day that we don't have part shortages is a good day at Scientific Industries, but thankfully we've been able to, to navigate those. We also have very good relationships with our suppliers, in the same way that we consider, our customers, partners. We do the same thing with our vendors. And those relationships have also, been critical during this time.
Great, thank you, Helena. What are the key milestones investors should be looking for in 2022? And if we sit here 12 months from now, what are the biggest risks to achieving those goals?
So on the scientific bioprocessing side, it's going to be the introduction of the Coco software in the first half of 2022, calendar 2022, which is going to enable our customers to be able to realize more value out of our existing products, the CGQ and the LIST system. The introduction of dissolved oxygen and pH sensors also in the first half of the year. And then the end of the year, it's going to be the introduction of the wireless reader. And so that is a lot for a little company to get done. We have a small team, and they got a lot of jobs to do. But and then, of course, it's going to be attracting partners to help us get those products into the marketplace. But this is, because we're a really well capitalized company, because we have the positive cash flow coming from the benchtop laboratory business, we've got the time to think long term and to make investments that no other company is making in this space. And we think that's going to reward our investors very richly.
Joe, and if I can just augment onto what John has said, also on the benchtop lab equipment, one of the key milestones that we have for 2022 is the addition of a new Vivid product onto our Vivid automated product line. So that's also something that's in the in the works, in the pipeline, and that we're very excited about.
Fantastic. As we close out here, is there anything else you want to say before we end the discussion?
I pity the fool that doesn't buy Scientific Industry stock.
It's a great time to be at Scientific Industries. It's a great time to be an employee, to be part of this great team, and it's a great time to be an investor.
Great. Well, John and Helena, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate it. Again, if you'd like to sign up for a one-on-one meeting, please visit lythampartners.com/virtual. Click the one-on-one meeting request button. We wish you all a good day and enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.